Diane Paul has been the quiet supporter of her husband, Dr. Paul, and his veterinary empire for years, staying out of the spotlight. But now Dr. Paul has finally spoken out about his wife's health, and the truth has shocked and broken fans' hearts. Fans had been wondering for months about Diane's mysterious absence and declining health, but no one was ready for what Dr. Paul said. What really happened to Diane, and why was the truth kept from everyone for so long? Join us as we find out what really happened to Diane before they were famous and photographed. Jan and Diane Paul were building a life together based on hard work, care, and community. Diane and Jan's love story began by chance when Jan, an exchange student from the Netherlands, stayed with Diane's family while he was in high school in 1961. It was a complete coincidence that two young people from very different backgrounds ended up living together. But fate has a plan, and their love for animals helped them grow together. Over the years they became close and have been together for more than 50 years. In 1967, Diane and Jan said their vows in a heartfelt ceremony. Since they couldn't have biological children, they chose to adopt 3 kids, Kathy, Charles, Diane Jr., and Diane. But their relationship was about more than just family, it was about purpose. In 1981 they opened Paul Veterinary Services, a small clinic in rural Michigan. Their practice quickly became a respected establishment thanks to both Jan's hard work, veterinary knowledge, and Diane's organizational skills. They built a practice that became the center of their community, serving both farmers and pet owners. They weren't trying to be famous, they were just trying to help. But this quiet start would one day lead to a very public life, a life that started to take its toll on Diane in ways that no one saw coming. The unexpected path to fame. Little did they know that their shared vision and hard work would lead them to even bigger things. A new chance. In the early 2000s, a TV network wanted to show the unique and often difficult lives of rural veterinarians. After all, caring for animals in small-town America was full of emotional highs and lows, and Jan and Diane Paul were the perfect choice to be the faces of this new reality show. It all started when a casting agent from Nat Geo Wild read an article about Jan's work as a veterinarian. They were impressed by his credentials and knew that he would be a good fit for the role. Besides Jan's engaging personality and impressive skill at handling everything from routine farm visits to high-stakes emergency animal surgeries, what really stood out to the producers was the relationship between him and Diane, who was just as dedicated to the business, but rarely seen in public. Diane's quiet but strong presence went well with Jan's more outgoing and sometimes larger-than-life personality. The producers saw something rare, a dynamic, grounded couple who had built a life together. The way they supported each other and the way they clicked with each other was real. For the producers, this was the perfect mix of veterinary care, rural life, and family values. At first, Jan and Diane were hesitant. They had spent decades building a business on trust and professionalism, and the thought of letting cameras into their private lives was scary. But after a few talks, they realized that this chance could help them reach a lot more people. They wanted to show the world how much they loved animals and encourage others to become veterinarians. They also wanted to share their passion with the world by showing not only their professional skills but also the heart and soul of what they did every day. They agreed, but with one condition: they had to stay true to who they were. The first season of The Incredible Dr. Paul aired in 2010, and viewers all over the country were hooked from the start. People loved how down-to-earth and approachable he was, but what really made the show stand out was his relationship with Diane. They loved each other deeply, had a history together, and were able to balance work, family, and personal life, which made them relatable to viewers. Diane's role in the business, while not always in the spotlight, was just as important to the success of the show, and viewers quickly saw her as the glue that held everything together. But that success, the spotlight, the pressure, Diane started to fade from view because of all the filming that had to be done all the time. The Paul's show became an instant hit, drawing viewers in with both the emotional stories of animal care and the bond between Jan and Diane, which was clear in every episode. But being in the public eye started to hurt Diane in ways she hadn't expected. While Jan loved being in the spotlight and sharing his knowledge and passion with millions of viewers, maintaining a polished appearance in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, tensions and struggles grew until they were impossible to hide. What started as a chance to share their passion with the world also marked the start of Diane's gradual disappearance from it. Diane's hidden battles, while the cameras were rolling, and the country fell in love with the amazing Dr. Pol. Diane Pol was the one who was really going through it. Jan was silently facing a reality that few saw or understood. The show brought her a lot of business, support, and a platform that she embraced wholeheartedly. But for Diane it was a more complicated experience. She had never been interested in fame, and as the spotlight got brighter she felt uneasy. At first Diane told herself that her discomfort would pass, the cameras would come and go, and life would go back to normal. But the more the show did well, the more its effects were felt. She had to deal with demands in her personal life. They kept coming back season after season, year after year. Strangers started recognizing her at the grocery store and restaurants, and they would praise John and ask her about their marriage, their kids, and even how she did her job at the clinic. She always looks a little overwhelmed. A longtime patient of the clinic once said on an online fan forum, "I love watching their family, but I wonder if this show was really her choice." Fans and people in Diane's own community talked about how she felt about all the attention. "I ran into Diane at a fundraiser once," said a neighbor who had known the Pols for years. "She was polite, but I could tell she wasn't comfortable with all the attention. It's Jan's dream, not necessarily hers." Even though Diane tried to hide her private struggles, she didn't want to become famous. People noticed that she hesitated before speaking on camera, or let Jan take the lead in interviews. Some praised her humility and poise, while others thought she was just putting up with it to make her husband happy. "She seems like the type of person who just goes along with things because she loves her family," one viewer wrote on a social media thread about the show. "I wonder if she ever gets tired of being Dr. Pol's wife instead of just being his wife." Diane was really tired. The show, which had started out as an exciting new chapter, had become a constant part of their lives. There was no off switch. Even when the cameras weren't rolling, she could feel their weight. Every time she walked into the clinic, she knew that a producer might ask her to film a quick interview or a reaction shot. Whenever she and Jan had a private moment, she wondered if it would somehow become part of the show's story. The pressure wasn't just on her. Diane had always been the kind of woman who fully supported her husband and took pride in their shared success. She had worked hard behind the scenes for years to help build their practice, and now that their hard work was being recognized on a national level, she felt bad that she hadn't embraced it like Jan had. Jan, on the other hand, was thrilled about the show's success. He loved talking to fans, sharing stories, and teaching people about veterinary medicine. But he also couldn't figure out why Diane wasn't embracing it. Diane didn't agree with him. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to," he told her as they sat in their living room one night, the flickering TV light making long shadows on the walls. "You can be involved as little or as much as you want." Diane knew it wasn't that easy. Even when she stopped shooting, her life had already changed. Their clinic wasn't just a veterinary office, it was a set. Their home, which used to be their safe place, now felt like a public place. Diane's friends also noticed the change in her. "I asked her once if she noticed it too. Someone close to the family said, 'That's not the Diane I know. She's always been so open with me, but now I don't know. I feel like there's a wall up.'" And the wall got bigger as Diana got older. As the show got more popular, Diane didn't like the attention or the expectations that came with it. When she went to social events, people thought she'd be excited to talk about her life as a reality TV star. But she didn't feel like a star. She still saw herself as the same woman who had spent years raising kids and running a household, and quietly taking care of the clinic's money, while Jan was the star. Being famous didn't change who she was, it just made it harder for people to see more than change. She had found herself late at night reading what people had said about her on online forums. Some said she was the rock of the Pol family and Jan's success, while others wondered if she was happy, if she secretly hated the show, or if she wished things had gone differently. "She always looks tired," one comment said, "like she's holding everything together, but no one really sees it." Diane wasn't one to dwell on the bad, but the comments made her wonder, Was that how people saw her? Was that how she saw herself? She was proud of what they had accomplished and thankful for their success, but there were nights when she sat alone in their quiet home long after Jan had gone to bed, and wondered what life would have been like if they had turned down the cameras. Would she feel more at peace and like herself, or would she just find another way to feel lost as the show became more popular? Diane knew she had to make a choice. She could either play the role that everyone expected her to play, or she could refuse to play it. Fans didn't realize that Diane's absence from the screen wasn't due to an injury, but to an emotional toll that had been building for years. Diane had spent her life helping others, her family, the clinic and the show, but behind the scenes her quiet strength was wearing thin. Fame had never been her dream, and the constant pressure to perform, smile and stay strong took a deeper toll than anyone realized. At that point, the emotional stress of feeling invisible and overwhelmed started to hurt her health. She kept going like she always did, but eventually she couldn't hide the cost. That's when fans noticed she wasn't just disappearing emotionally, but also physically. Soon the questions started to get louder, and Dr. Pol finally broke his silence. Pol finally breaks his silence for months, and fans have been wondering about Diane Pol's mysterious injury and road to recovery. She wasn't in any new episodes or public events, and some people on social media thought the worst was she seriously ill. Had there been a private family tragedy? Others thought there might be marital problems or a serious accident that the Pol family was trying to hide. During this time of uncertainty, Dr. Jan Pol stayed quiet. He is usually very open about his veterinary practice and family life, so his refusal to talk about the situation only led to more rumors. Fans were very curious about Diane's whereabouts on social media, but there were no updates or explanations, just a wall of silence that made her disappearance even stranger. Finally, in March 2024, Dr. Pol broke the silence, and the truth was even more heartbreaking than many had thought. In an emotional and surprisingly honest post on social media, Dr. Pol addressed the rumors and set the record straight. "We're losing her." As expected, people were shocked when he confessed, but it was clear right away that this wasn't a joke. The tone of his post wasn't his usual confident and upbeat personality. Instead, it was heavy with the weight of months or even years of worry and heartache Diane had been going through. He couldn't even begin to describe it. They had kept it a secret for a long time because they didn't want to scare anyone, but the truth was Diane had been in constant pain. She had been hiding it from everyone, even close friends, but it had finally reached a breaking point. The cause was a severe spinal condition that had grown over time. At first it seemed manageable, stiffness and occasional discomfort, but by late 2023, she was in constant pain and couldn't do simple things. Filming was almost impossible, while Dr. Pol said it was because of long-term strain and wear from decades of hard work. Not everyone was convinced. Some fans thought there had been some people even came up with the crazy idea that Diane had been in a train accident, but the family wouldn't confirm or deny it. This lack of clarity only led to more questions, but it was clear that Diane had been suffering emotionally for years and that they could no longer hide it. It was a battle that no one knew about. Was it an accident or something more? According to Dr. Pol, Diane's condition was caused by years of physical strain from working in a demanding environment for decades. But for some fans, the more questions than answers were raised about why things went so badly and why the family chose to keep it a secret. Some online sources said that her injury might have been caused by a serious accident, like a fall, a car accident, or another traumatic event that the family chose not to talk about. Being in the public eye may have limited what they could share and face as a family. If they wanted to keep up a certain image, they may have hidden something terrible, like a farm injury. A very crazy theory that spread online was that Diane had been in a train accident, which Dr. Pol neither confirmed nor denied. Some thought that the word train wreck was being used figuratively, but others weren't so sure. Could Diane have been in a real accident that wasn't being talked about that caused her condition? Dr. Pol insisted that her injuries were caused by gradual wear and tear and a worsening spinal issue. His ambiguous language led to more speculation, Had Diane been in a private accident that they didn't want to talk about?